Welcome everyone to our Impactful Games series. I'm Nico Valdivia Hennig. I'm a game researcher, game designer, and Ludic activist doing my PhD at the University of California, Riverside. I'm also co-founder and creative director at Niebla Games, an indie game studio from Valparaíso, Chile. I'm co-founder of Rio Junto, a Latin American culture exchange hub, which is organizing this series, and I'm part of Ludocrítica, the Red de Estudios Lúdico-Críticos, a Latin American critical game studies network who is supporting this event. Today, we'll have our first guest of this series, Rasheed Abueideh, a prominent Palestinian game designer who created the great and impressive game Liyla and the Shadows of War. He will be with us today, sharing what means to make games from Palestine when he did this game and what is it to be now like doing something like that in these like super hard times for the world in general. First of all, we would like to thank all the institutions that are supporting this event. This event is supported by the UCR College of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences, the Center for Ideas and Society at UC Riverside, the Hispanic Studies Department, the Media and Cultural Studies Department, the Decolonizing Humanism Initiative, and the Comparative Literature Department at UCR. Since this event is hosted in the University of California, Riverside, we would like to respectfully acknowledge and recognize our responsibility to the original and current caretakers of this land, water and air, the Gawila, the Tongva, the Luiseño, and Serrano peoples, and all of their ancestors and descendants, past, present, and future. Today, this meeting place is home to many indigenous peoples from all over the world, including UCR faculty, students, and staff, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these homelands. Now, I would like to share our stance as Rio Junto Collective. We are living through harrowing times for humanity. The brutal Russian invasion to Ukraine has gone on over 2 years. In Sudan, more than 7 million people have been displaced from their homes. In Haiti, gangs hold power, unleashing waves of violence after decades of failed colonial interventionism. And in Ecuador, narco-criminal organizations murder politicians who opposed them and threaten the population. All this while the State of Israel perpetrates a genocide against the Palestinian people under the indifferent eyes of powers that claim to defend peace and democracy, committing crimes against humanity that will be infamously remembered by history, such as the Flower Massacre this February 29th against Palestinian refugees waiting for food. In this context, we face challenges at every level of existence, and we must respond wherever possible. In academia, we need to listen and provide support to our colleagues and students, ensuring that contemporary apathy doesn't dominate our actions. In artistic production, we must use our time responsibly and creatively to deal with horror towards a horizon of transformation. This is what inspires Rio Junto, as a platform aiming to blur the boundaries between creation, academia, and the rest of the world, as if they were separate realms. Specifically, this project that brings us together, Impactful Games, seeks to establish a platform for recognizing artists, creators, and activists through play and aim to intervene in the world, open up imagination, and challenge the ideological positions of dominant sectors that have allowed the occurrence of the mentioned horrors. This motivation drives this initiative to open a space for encounters towards a joint production of humanity, in this case through play as a means of agency in the world. Also, it's important to clarify that this interview was pre-recorded for safety reasons and will be streamed for about 50 minutes. After that, we'll have a live Q&A with Rasheed, who will join us from Palestine, in particular from the occupied West Bank. With all that in mind, and welcoming everyone sharing us with us online and everyone who is watching us who is watching this in the future, we hope you enjoy this event and Rashid's work. First of all, here you can find more information about Rashid. He asked me to share this with all of you. This is Rasheed's Twitter, so if you want to follow his work and if you want to contact him or anything, here it is. He's such a great person and he will join us after this. But I wanted to share this. And also, we're going to be talking mainly about Liyla and the Shadows of War. This is the game that has, but even more important of that, this has been a game that have had such a great impact. And the sad part of this is that it was a game released on 2016 based on extended for decades that on particular events of 2014. And it's like it's a free game. It's a game that have a length of between 10 and 15 minutes, so it's something that you can go and play. Uh, and despite that, it's a super impactful experience that we invite you to try by yourselves. Rasheed, thank you so much for being here, for being also the person who inaugurates this initiative.
Thank you, Nico. Thank you for having me and for this opportunity and all of the efforts to raise awareness about what's happening in Palestine.
For us, this platform is to create awareness, not only from what's happening, but also from your work, about you, and the amazing thing that you have done with such an important project for humanity as Liyla, like a show of humanity, critique, and creative potential from the Ludic dimension. So please, Rasheed, can you introduce yourself and share with us like who you are?
Sure. So my name is Rasheed. I'm Palestinian. I'm also located in Palestine. I live in the West Bank. I work as a computer engineer. I have a passion to make games and design games, but that did not turn into a career. But I have it like something that I do in my free time. Uh, my game Liyla and the Shadows of War was like my way to say uh, for everyone else, like, hey, look at what's happening here. Um, and this game was released in 2016, actually. It was talking about the war in Gaza in 2014. But till this day, we are seeing the same images, the same tragedy happening over and over again. So what we are seeing now is more like it's magnified. It's more brutal than any other war before. It's deadly. It's like we cannot imagine and even believe that what's happening actually is happening in this way. Like it's beyond all of our imagination. And what makes it like more tragic, like everyone else, the whole world is watching and they are not changing anything. On a personal level, so that was my way to say we need to change this. We need to change. At least I was watching the mainstream outlets when they talk about what's happening in Palestine. Actually, they do not talk about the Palestinians. They always talk about the other side, and they highlight um, that story. And the Palestinian story actually was always ignored in the mainstream media. And like games is one of the best um, medium that could deliver messages. So that was my opportunity and my way to say, please look here and pay attention for what's happening in Palestine.
Yeah, I totally agree. to be living in these times where it's the first genocide that it's being recorded and streamed on social media in a way that the previous horrors of humanity have never been, and we can see how the people that controls the mainstream media are trying to create versions, are trying to depict an image of a situation, calling it war, but they when they name the atrocities committed by the Israeli army, ordered by the Israeli government, they usually they use even like passive voices, like people died instead of like people was murdered and assassinated and systemically displaced from their homes. And I think that that it's part of the sad aspect of this is that your game, Leyla, that it's wonderful and it's so impactful, and what I want to do here is also to give more recognition to that work and to be not only to give the renown that it deserves, but also as an important tool of experiencing precisely what you mentioned in relation on how this ongoing violence perpetrated by these criminals has been happening for decades, and even for you that you released this game on 2016 based on what happened in 2014, it's being as like incredibly relevant now more than ever even, and how also like the temporalities of the works, the creative works, in this case the interactive media is able to have a real impact despite the traditional temporalities. When we think about commercial games, that you launch a game, you need to have some kind of like economic success on the traditional standards of the what has been called as the game industry. But in this case, this work like comes again and claims for justice for all the people, all the Palestinian people, um, in a way that you can read the comments on the game on different platforms, and you notice how impactful like this project has been for so many people. So how do you feel, or how what have you seen during these years after creating this project?
Actually, like the journey for this project was for me is unexpected. It's kind of a mind blowing. Um, from the first day, it was like a roller coaster actually. Especially when I first released the game, it got banned on the App Store because of the content of the game. And I was actually, during the design, I was very careful designing the game that does not have any political symbols or anything related to um, like saying a party or saying about uh, g- like mentioning names or something like that. I was trying just to highlight um, like a story, a simple story for a little girl and her father and her mother during the war. So I was very careful designing everything, getting away from all of these reviews, but it got banned on the App Store from the first day because, like, they claim that it has a political statement. And from that moment, the game was also released on Google Play. So the people, like many people, they actually tried it on Google Play, and they had the idea that this is not a political game. So why you are banning it? And at that time there were like a huge campaign on Twitter and many uh, like websites that do game reviews talked about this, and I had many interviews talking about this until they actually allowed it to be on the App Store. And from that day, I was like always amazed about the feedback and the impact from that game. Seeing people play Liyla is like one of the most emotional things that I can ever experience. Like seeing people actually playing it and reaching to the end, and they start like crying actually, is kind of, yes, I made it. Like I actually um, made something that at least deliver uh, the feelings, the emotions that's happening for that man, um, because the death of his girl, his little girl. So it's kind of a crazy thing. And again, it was released in 2016, and until this day, we are talking about it. I keep getting messages from all over the world. Layla is presented in many tech museums as a game that as a tool that actually could deliver message and raise awareness about a case. Uh, Many professors used it in their classes to present that games is also a tool that could be used for sharing things. The number of downloads, I just when I get a little bit of depression, I go to YouTube and just watch people playing it. It's kind of um, like for me, I can't describe the feeling actually. Like this is a very small piece of art that actually made something.
I'm so glad that you mentioned something that probably was not intended when you created this piece from such a personal like history and like you as a like well, I'm going to ask you if you could share or how was like the creation process in detail, but you as a father, like considering your own story as an inspiration, along with many other Palestinian people suffering that, but it's it's a pretty thing to point that also it's something that not only have changed hundreds, hopefully thousands of lives, that's huge, a great impact in the world, but also like the unintended impact in like for yourself, like this kind of feedback of creation of awareness and and also like to self-care, like what you mentioned, the thing of reading the comments to try to deal with the grief, to deal with the pain, and knowing that also it's possible to create impact in such way. So could you please share with us more details on how was the like the beginning of the conception of the project and how did you like figure out on what tools were you going to develop? What was the scope of the project? Like thinking as a game artist, as a game developer and a game designer.
Yeah, the idea was initiated actually in 2014 when the war started on Gaza. It was at that time one of it like a brutal war. A huge number of civilians were actually killed. and the images that were presented for kids are being slaughtered was like things that we for the first time we were actually seeing things like that in that a huge amount. So at that time I was also a father, like and I just got the feeling, what if I were in that position where I have to carry one of my sons in my hand uh, with complete like hope or uh, or can, in a position that I can't do anything for him. So it was an experience that no one actually hope this happen for anyone. So I was trying to mimic that feeling somehow. So the thing that I could do, and the other thing that I told you before, is seeing that the mainstream media is never talking about that reality. So that was totally ignored. Actually, nowadays we are seeing more and more news about Palestine, but at that time, that was most likely completely ignored. So I wanted to raise awareness about that. So I started um, like a simple thing. I like at that time I have a few years of experience doing 2D games using an old engine called Solar 2D. So I started working on that, but I didn't have any experience in art. So I started working or at least contacting people to do the art for the game. And also it was a tough journey because I didn't have any fund or any budget for that project. So I wanted volunteers to work with me on a project that is also risky to work in. So many people, like even friends, like they told me that they cannot do it because um, if you are living here and if you raise your voice and if you do something, you are risking yourself. So, and when we are saying like risking yourself, we are saying about you may be kidnapped or you will be a prisoner. So it's not an easy thing to do. But I got lucky after a few months to have an artist and animator to work with me for free. And we started like the first thing I had to build a complete prototype just using a stupid art from the internet just to show the idea for anyone who wants to work with me that I have something that I'm actually I have something and I just need to polish that. And after I got the artist, I started redoing everything. And during I wanted to make it very short, also very easy to play because it's kind of uh, a story that I don't want to lose the player.
Mhm.
Like the attention span nowadays is very short for people, and I just want them to get to the end as fast as quick as they can. So I try to make like very short, intense, highlighting a few major things that actually happened on the ground on Gaza at that time, to let the player actually reach the end and see the tragedy and see all the information that I wanted the player to understand how massive that was.
That's something that I've noticed as game designer also, how you manage at that time to use the tools that were available. That I think that both of us are amazed on how like the democratization of tools in general has been happening the last decade, considering that this game was made 10 years ago or started 10 years ago. Uh, I really admire on how you manage to use those resources, considering the difficulties of producing on the starting point, like a game. Like a game always have a lot of challenges, the technical aspects, the different skills that are required to create a game, but also on how you use those resources to create such an impactful story with all of this in mind. Like I I love this work because it never feels like, oh, this idea of the short game as less impactful as a longer one, or as if a game has like hundreds of hours, it's more valuable than any other that may have a shorter time. Um, I was amazed when I played the first time on how you designed this experience with all of this that you mentioned in consideration, and was able, and you made it able to propose to create this space where the same interaction, as and as simple as it is, to be able to convey this personal and honest story, to give context on the reality of thousands of people, and also like being able to have this tension on your playing, but at the same time you're experiencing your it. I think that there's like a great balance on the on your own experience by playing and the possible outcome, and the impression and the impact that it has on you as a player. uh, I think that you did an awesome work, considering also like the production conditions where you are. So I also wanted to ask you if you could share with us like how is the production context in Palestine, to for game development, for game creation, for game art, for game activism. Like you could give us like a broad view to understand better the context there, if, on your experience. So you've been a lot of years in the sector. So from what you have seen from the beginning to the current state, considering that there's an occupation, not only now, but since there's like game development, Palestine has been occupied, and what implications that has on the creation and the ecosystem.
So, like, I will tell you like a personal story. Before even I started making Layla, I had my own startup. I tried to build a gaming studio, but I failed. Um, like considering all the tough like things that you have to work with in a risky industry
Mhm.
as the gaming industry. Here in Palestine, we don't have the luxury for like for building games. Actually, like this is kind of when you live in a war zone, you just focus on the basic things and the basic needs, and it's not easy. Like people are passionate. There are a lot of developers and people are really passionate about building games, and they try on their own, um, but none of them has succeeded to build a career in actually in Palestine. Me and a couple of friends tried to build gaming studios here in Palestine, but it's not that easy. You cannot fund the proper funding. Um, you don't have a market in here internally, and you cannot like build a game from here and develop it everywhere else because like even the basic things that are blocked, even getting paid for your own game uh, is something impossible because like uh, uh, many countries does not recognize Palestine as a country, so you cannot just connect the payments through to your bank accounts. So even these basic things will limit you and kill all of your dreams before even you start. So the only way to if you are really passionate about this, maybe to get out of Palestine and try somewhere else. But here it will stay as a hobby. But there is no industry actually, and just people are passionate. They play with these tools and try to build their own things. But when they get to grow up, they don't have enough time to build games that is for fun without getting paid for.
Mm.
So uh, like the short answer, there is no industry here for gaming. Um, Hopefully someday there will be will be like at least uh, a studio or two that could um, build more games about at least like from this is from my own personal experience that building something related to your situation and to your own experience could be impactful more than building commercial game and competing with everyone else in the world.
It's super important what you're pointing out, the fact that building games, developing games, it's still being a luxury for many people. It's not possible to get into the industry. Something that I've been like researching on my own field of focus that has been lastly Latin America in general, and it's understanding how these different trends have been happening, how was the beginnings, and usually it's people with the enough privilege to be able to get like to the networks to open the imagination that making games is possible. Like there's a huge barrier for many people that love games, that are passionate about games in different aspects. But first, there's something that the imagination it's close to consider that it's possible. Once you break like that barrier, there are other challenges based on class, gender, geographical aspects from center to periphery, and also the geopolitical aspects, like in Palestine in particular, have inhibited many people from getting into this art, into this possibility that as you mentioned, like it was a lot of work to be able to create something like this for the scarce, the lack of resources in general to do something that takes many resources, especially time to make a game. Also to the lack of an, as you mentioned, like an industry, but there's people producing and wanting to make games, but there's no something with enough stability to be able to get the the different kinds of support that there are in other places more privileged to sustain a long term idea of industry. But however, that's not the only way to think about the opportunities of creation. Like, have you seen any change during the last decades, more than decades, during the last years, regarding the accessibility to new tools, to like simplified engines, to the chance to get like from assets to blueprints, like if it's has been that something that has pushed like the barriers farther to allow more people to get into the industry in Palestine?
Um, it all always stay like an individual attempt.
Mm,
There is no corporation that are actually working in the industry. So when you are on the ground, if there are no companies or at least no investors wanting to invest in such thing, it will stay as a hobby for the individuals. Maybe we'll, I don't know, maybe we will see something coming from Palestine, um, from a small team, but they will stay a team, not a company. Um, which also like here, if you are working even in software engineering, the market is very close. So many of the like talented software engineer travel outside, and if you are lucky, you can get like an outsourcing opportunity to work from home or for a remote job with a remote company. But the tech industry in general, and especially the gaming, like the tech is kind of somehow mature. There are maybe hundreds of companies, but the gaming itself, uh, we don't have any. Like there was few attempts to build gaming studios, but none of them actually succeed because it's not about making a single game. You need to build a portfolio of game that you can be sustainable and have like a roadmap for building uh, more and more games just to keep your studio alive. So like again, building games is kind of it's not a software, it's kind of an art. So you need a software engineer, you need an artist, you need an animator, you need a sound designer. So it's like a wide spectrum of talent. These talents are actually like we have them, but bringing them all together and let them work together on an artistic project without affecting their life, I mean, their financial state, is very hard here. So it's kind of a tough thing in the current situation. But like basically right now, maybe more than 70% of the Palestinian here, even in the West Bank, are not getting paid. Even the employees that are working as doctors, teachers, and employees working in the health sector are not getting paid because of this war. What's happening right now? So you can imagine, like, if these basic things are not getting paid because of the economic situation. Can you imagine like building games in this um, situation? It's kind of a joke, actually.
yeah, yeah, I totally get it. Like again, The idea of being able to make games in it's a luxury in many places, and especially in times of not, not exactly war, but genocide. It's a tough thing to have in mind, and that's why I have the uh, like the need to ask you first, what can we do from abroad to support Palestine in the current situation? What have you seen that has been more impactful? What you have seen that have changed? What can we do to open? What changes have you seen? So like a direct call of action to everyone that would like to support on any way that we may do it.
So, so my first advice for anyone who wants actually to support, or at least um, if they don't know what to do, I encourage people just first thing to understand what's happening here in Palestine. Because it's not about the last 5 months. It's a way like it's 75 years ago. So I encourage like everyone um, to dig deep and to understand the root cause of what's happening here, just to understand what was Palestine like, and what's happened for all of the Palestinian, and why there is a refugee camps for Palestinian all over the world, all over the Middle East, and why our Palestinian are not allowed to come back to their own land, and how many Palestinians are actually killed from like since 1948, and what does the Nakba mean, and where is the West Bank, where is Gaza, and what's happening there, and what is settlements, what are settlers. All of these concepts you have to understand. I encourage everyone. We are trying to like to raise awareness about these things, but I encourage everyone, like the internet is open, um, and you cannot hide the truth. Um, just understand, build the awareness, uh, give yourself a chance to free your mind from all the old stereotypes that you already have, and start from like nothing, and build your knowledge again about this area. You will be amazed. From that point, if you have enough knowledge, if you have understanding of what's happening, uh, you don't have to be a Palestinian, you don't have to be an Arab or Muslim. You have to be a human being, just to sympathize with what's happening here on the ground, and to understand the history of that. From that point, you can just now start protesting, asking your friend to come with you, um, move join any movement around you, start boycotting all of these huge corporation that is actually funding this genocide or funding the occupation. So these are the basic things that uh, at least like anyone wants to like to help should do. And now you can also raise awareness for other people around you, uh, even in your own like small circle, or on social media, or any platform that you already have, maybe through your movies, games, like whatever you can do to express um, your feelings or your ideas, whatever tool you can use. Now you can start using it in the right way. Either it is movies, games, documentaries, or whatever. So this is like the basic thing or what I actually recommend.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I totally get it. Like, thanks for being that direct, open. In It's been challenging for us in other places that wants to support. I can speak from myself that being from Chile, from South America, and living now in the US in a state that has been supporting and that has been complicit to the genocide has has impacted in many ways in a personal level, and it's um, a reflection that we're having with many other peers, other fellow students, postdocs also, and it's I think that the like people works like yours and the brave work that many people that are doing from Gaza to create awareness has been having like a real impact. And in our case at UCR in the University of California in Riverside, I can proudly say that the 29th, the same terrible day of the flower massacre committed by the Israeli government, we became the third university uh, into like approving by the student government to approving the BDS, the boycott, divestment, and sanctions to the companies that are supporting the genocide. So it's a small light in all these difficult times, but I hope that this could be also a show of direct action that may impact uh, not only to for a ceasefire now as soon as possible, but also to create awareness and to promote future actions of justice to all the Palestinian people. Um,
Yeah, that's the kind of the work that actually uh, helps and make a difference on the ground.
yeah, yeah, totally. And just one last thing related to the idea of like the impact that that games may have, as you know that Liyla has changed lives, have created awareness on people that maybe didn't know what was happening, didn't know the ongoing violence for decades that Palestinian people have suffered. Um, Considering the opportunities that the ludic medium may have, like how can other people support the growth and the stability of the Palestinian ecosystem, not just thinking on an industry idea of just let's bring big companies or big funding, but like different ways to support not only the creation, but also like there has been initiatives like game jams for Palestine and activities that are really meaningful for the people that participate in those or for people that may play the results, the works that are result from those events. But also thinking that to have more amazing projects like Liyla, like the ones that you have done, uh, like it's important to have a solidarity from other places also to be open to help, to share resources, and to promote actively the creation from people there. So, what would be your advice for all of us that wants to support from the academic aspects of the researching and showing how important this kind of production has been, but also for creators, for other game artists that wants to show and actively make actions of solidarity with all of you.
That's actually a great question. So people who are already like have their own way to express yourself their self, they can start using the medium that they master, um, to do things actually, that raise awareness about Palestine. And for everyone else, like just try to find a project that you think that is meaningful, either if it is like a movie or a short documentary or a game that you can support and like help the creators like to see their own vision and like this is the kind of thing that you can like do. I cannot like direct for a single place, but you have to try to find around you who's working on something that is related to Palestine, in whatever industry or on whatever. Like there are many initiative right now. Like there is Tech for Palestine, um, which is trying to make um, things that is related to technology, or at least raise awareness about Palestine in the industry itself, in the tech industry, um, which is like a great or like a great initiative from Paul Bigger. And for other things, like you just need to keep your head up and watching for what's coming, and if you can support and help, that would be a great thing.
Also, I thank you, Rashid, for everything. This has been such an impactful conversation. Uh, uh, as a- this has been really a privilege for me to be able to meet you remotely, but still uh, to give me. I really appreciate like your disposition and to allow me to open this series with your work. That we hope that can reach many people, um, to continue spreading this urgent call for an ceasefire and an urgent call for justice for all the Palestinian people. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate your efforts and your work and your support. And this is an amazing opportunity for me to talk to you and everyone uh, that you will bring. And I can't wait like to see it live.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rashid, and hope to keep talking to you soon.
Thank you. One last thing, like I maybe I could mention, because you are asking me about a project, like I'm actually like I stopped love making games. Like making games was a passion,
Uh-huh.
but right now it's more of the job that I don't love to do, because whenever I start a game these days, it's about a deadly story.
Mm.
So Layla and the Shadows of War was a game initiated because of the war in 2014. Uh, and because of this war, I'm starting on a new project, which is also a game about, but this time it's about the root cause of what's happening. It's
Mm.
about the Nakba, and it's kind of a huge project that is was waiting in my head like in the last 5 years. And when this war, like with this actually genocide started, I thought like this project should see the light.
Yeah.
So currently, I'm working on that project. It's still in the beginning. We are still trying to figure out the scope because it's kind of a huge project. And after that, we will maybe announce what's the next step in terms of what's needed as resources. So we might like use your network as an like if anyone wants to help work on the art or on the game itself. So that might be an opportunity to help working on that project.
That sounds awesome. Uh, Thank you also for sharing this with us on this kind of exclusive information that I wasn't aware of. It's a project that I would love to not just see become real, but also to help as much as I can. So of course, count with me, count with our network to help you like on every way that we could, like looking for resources, like helping, looking for people that may help also, and even with the basics on spreading the word,
Yeah,
we need to see that game become real. So congratulations for that project too, and thank you for sharing it here with all of us.
thank you, Nico.
Mm. Thank you so much for being here with us. That was the main interview for this event with Rasheed. Thank you for your reactions, for sharing here. I have also the honor of like knowing that we're having this event and that Rasheed is here with us today too to share with all of you, with all of us in this session. Rasheed, thank you for being here. If you can turn on your camera, I would appreciate it to be able to see you. There you are. Awesome. Hi, Rasheed. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. And hi for everyone here. Thank you for being here.
Yes, Rashid, it's such a pleasure. As you noticed, we just streamed the recording of the session. Um, it's going to be available soon. Um, Thanks everyone in the future that is watching at this. We're adding also the live Q&A with Rashid in this occasion. And we're going to open the space for questions, for comments, to share any thoughts about the situation. And additionally, I would like to also invite a friend, another game designer that it's joining us today that came from Argentina. And I'm going to introduce now, it's Pablo Cuarta. If you can turn on your camera also. It's we're here together, so that's why. And Rachid, so this is Pablo Cuarta. He's an awesome game designer, producer, and writer. He's part, Pablo, they is part um, of the Matajuegos cooperative. It's an awesome cooperative that they have done awesome Ludic activist projects, and uh, Paulo could introduce themselves a little bit, but I'm honored also to have them for our next event in the series of impactful games that we're starting with the honor of having you, Rashid. So Paulo will be with us talking and sharing, and they also knows your work, and we're humbled to have you here. And also, we're going to be receiving questions on the Q&A options of the meeting. So please, if you have any comment, any question, please do it. We are going to be sharing. So Pablo, can you introduce yourself so Rashid can know you too?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me, Nico, and I'm very happy to share this space with you, Rasheed. I've known your work for a very long time, and thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your time with us, especially given the situation in Palestine. I'm a narrative designer and producer for Matajuegos, which is Argentina's first independent video game cooperative. So it's a horizontal and democratic worker-owned development studio. Very small. We've done cultural and social games and activist games since 2016, which reflect on everyday social cultural issues in Argentina and Latin America. The last game we made is Atuel, which is a documentary game about climate change in Western Argentina around a historical ecosystem in the river. But I really don't want to talk about myself very much because this is all about Lily and Rasheed. So that's all I really want to say. Thank you again for having me.
It's
Thank you, Paulo. It's really nice meeting you.
yeah. So let's start with the first question of Juan. Juan is asking, is there any participative project where non-game developers can help develop or conceptualize initiative like Liyla, like not necessarily games? Right.
Um, do you mean like projects outside of the gaming industry?
I'm going to put it in the chat. Like, is there any participative project where non-game developers can help develop or
Okay.
conceptualize initiatives like Liyla, like not necessarily games, but not necessarily. So it's like games included. I think that it's a great question because it's also an invitation for people like here. We have the honor of having students that are joining us today. We have peers, we have colleagues, friends, and this will be see and welcome to all other people like researchers, Ludic activists, players, gamers, and people that want to support also the Palestinian cause. So it's like how can people even not coming from a gaming background to support initiatives like this?
To be honest, I don't have like a clear answer for that question because it's kind of it depends on the projects and the efforts now are not organized. Like maybe you like if you know someone who's working on a documentary about Palestine, you can help him. If you like, it's hard to have a single point of truth for that because it depends on your relations and the people that you know and what projects are actually live right now. Even for me, I don't know like what are other projects that are currently active. There is no single place that you can say, "Hey guys, I want to help. What to do?" But what I saw lately, it's Tech for Palestine, which is a website for spreading awareness about the current genocide that happening in Palestine. They are making a few tools that helps, and they are participating in many events. So this is maybe the starting point for anyone who wants to help in such thing. And again, you have to be a little bit to have like an effort to just search around you if there is anyone who's working on something and how you can help with them. Even if you are not a developer, maybe just like spreading the word is very helpful nowadays, and we've seen a lot of change because of that on the social media and the non-traditional TV channels, and like talking to the young about what's happening is really making a difference in the current situation. I hope that somehow answers the question.
Yeah, thank you, Rashid. If you want to make more questions, please do. It's a space to share, like having this such a great opportunity. Here we have another one. I'm going to share it in the chat. Everyone can see it. Ariel is saying, first of all, thank you for being here and also for your strength and courage in these dark times. It can't be easy to talk about these topics. In the interview, you mentioned that you were still deciding the scope of a new Ludic initiative. How difficult is it to make that kind of choice in a dynamic context where we have new events every day? Can you elaborate on how do you deal with an ever-changing scenario like this one?
The question is asking about the new project and the
Yeah,
change.
yeah. The
Okay,
last part
okay.
of the interview was you changing
Yeah.
this exclusive.
Yeah. So that was actually the problem with me working on Liyla, because I was making Liyla during the war itself. So I was adding content as there like new events happening in on the ground, which makes it really somehow difficult to like to have a scope, to have a clear scope. But in the current project, in the current game that I'm working on, I'm going way back to 1948, which is the date of the Nakba. So I'm trying to educate people and raise awareness about the history, about what's happened actually in 1948, and how Israel, like the forces are actually destroyed the Palestinian villages and transferred all of the people and did massacres in those villages to let people go out from Palestine to nearby countries, to Jordan, to Lebanon, to Syria, to Egypt. So I'm going back in time, and I'm reflecting at the end with the current situation that's happening right now, but I'm not building the scope regarding to what's happening actually right now. So it's kind of an historical event that I want to let the people to know what happened. Then after that, at the end of the game, I will reflect as a conclusion for what's happening right now.
Awesome. Thanks, Rashid, and thank you, Ariel, for the question. I have a question that I didn't had the space during the interview that I've been reflecting specifically also for this project that for me was like super exciting, and I have more questions about it. But this one is for many of us. I know that I'm also including Pablo and of course Rashid and many other people that in the practice we have to do a lot of different works when doing games. Like you're game designer, you're game developer, you're game producer, and you need to think about many things. So in particular, when you're thinking about this upcoming project, what's your take on what the ludic medium may offer and may explore that not on this comparison on what a medium have over the others, like, but what's your take? What's the thing that you want, that you love, or that you think that opens like possibilities that push you to want to express all of these such important events on history, but also like your own voice, your own like vision on this project through games in particular?
That's a great question, actually. One of the amazing things that you can have in games is the personal experience. So while you are playing a game, you are actually fully in the game. You are You are the one in control. You are the hero in the game. Not like any other medium. Like if you are watching a movie, you are watching the hero in the movie, and the hero did that, and the hero did this. But when you are talking about a game, you are talking about your experience. Like if you are playing something, hey, I did that in the game, and I was like that, and they almost killed me, but I survived. You are talking about yourself, so you become one with the game. So I think that is there is a deep difference between this medium and other mediums. Like you are totally engaged, you are in the position of the hero or like the main character in the game, and you are taking action, and you are seeing your action have consequences on the environment, on the universe of the game, and on yourself. And this is more impactful and have a more deep meaning for you personally, which reflects more than any other medium. And I saw that on Liyla, when people are really playing Liyla, they become like very emotional and they start crying because they feel like they already lost that. They already lost in the game, and they cannot do anything. So this is why I think games is one of the best medium to share feelings and personal experience with other people.
Thank you so much, Rashid. I want to invite Pablo also to join us with question, comments. Feel free to use this space also as you wish, Pablo.
Yeah, I was curious to ask Rashid if you feel that there's any other games or other works of art and culture that are good companion pieces to Liyla and that you would recommend or that you would put in dialogue with Liyla.
In terms of games, um, there I can't like remember something, but maybe in different mediums there are some movies or things like that, but I have to just go back and do a few research. But in terms of games, there are almost none, because all of the things that I was talking about in the call, it's not that easy. It's even not easy to publish a game talking about Palestine. Our story is always there are like many parties try just to hide our story. So it's kind of the missing thing, that is no one is actually doing more work about that. And I found myself like uh, alone doing this, because like I felt responsible, because there is nothing in the space, especially in games, talking about Palestine in a way that is um, somehow attractive for the Western countries, and talking about the struggle of civilians, of the Palestinians in the war. So unfortunately, there is not much, but we are trying.
Yeah, there's something really interesting in what you said about like the challenges also to creating a piece of art, like thinking on the different intended impacts that you like want to push for. In It's different when you're doing it for maybe people that are closer. If you are trying to make like a piece of art to create reflections in new audiences, or like audiences that are used to games, but or some certain kind of genre, certain kind of games, like how to get into those spaces with these games. Like in, I have two questions. Like in your experience, how was the first like reception of Liyla? Uh, was it where did like the big outreach and the spread started? And also, when you're thinking on this project, as I understand, like the idea is to be able to spread it in many places. Like, what do you think as a game designer and also as a ludic activist? And what's your approach when thinking on, for example, the what we could call the Western audience? Like, uh, what are the things that you need to consider? With what things you try to like to have some like careful and to bypass some of the ideological restraints that many people have because of the impact of the dominant media creating like so many illusions about the horrors that have been happening there. So first, Liyla, how was the process? How was the first like impact and outreach? And now, like, what are your considerations when designing, considering the so-called Western audience uh, as part of the like the intended audience for this upcoming game?
So, so the first question is asking about the feedback that I got on Liyla or on the process itself.
Yeah, and if did you notice that it started being like more played, more considered in certain regions, or it was something that for you was like kind of globally at the same time?
So what actually happened with Liyla, I did not expect any download. Like I was just um, trying to do something just to express myself in a dark room after my working hours. Took me 2 years, and I have zero expectations to have any download actually. Maybe some of my friends, that's it. But before I released the game, I was trying to like participate in many awards and challenging and events around the world, at least online, just sending the game, taking reviews and things like that. And I choose to publish the game in an event in Singapore. And at that time, it was rejected on the App Store. I think that was this single event what had gain attraction for Liyla when everyone started talking about the game and why they banned the game on the App Store. And many websites, gaming websites, and like even news websites started talking about the game. So that event was actually good for me. It was a free marketing for my game actually, to spread the word and share what's hey, this game, just check out this game, why the App Store is banning this game. So this event actually made the game very popular. And after that, I tried to build on top of that and participate in many events around the world. Even if I couldn't reach that place, I can send someone or ask on social media, hey, can anyone go and showcase my game in that event? And the feedback from the people was amazing, just to keep going. And many people even just started talking to me just to release the game in in different languages. So even like it was translated to Chinese, to Spanish, and all of that was people trying to like just sending me an email. Hey, we are interested in your game and we want to translate it. How we can help? So I worked with them, and it was like an amazing experience for me, and I felt overwhelmed by like the people who are really trying to help and wanting to see something about Palestine, and they are affected by the experience in the game itself. So yeah, and the second part, or like the second question, so it's about what direction for the Western audience, yeah? Is it like that? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, I was trying to highlight a story of the little girl. I'm highlighting a humanitarian story, just putting everything else like back. And I want people just to engage in that story and see the result of that attack on Gaza at that time. And I was interested more on the feelings and on very particular events that happened in the war, because they don't know it. So for me as a Palestinian, I know it because it's my life. But other people, especially the young people, they are not following the news. And if they are actually following the news, they are not getting the real news. They are getting the fake news. So the orientation was actually just highlight that, put everything else aside. And also that was a design decision for me, because I was very sure, like, if there is anything was talking about Israel, and or I have any symbol about Israel or things like that, it will be definitely banned. But I choose to not even mention anything, just to pass the checks. But even with that, I was lucky to be banned and to get publicity about the game.
Yeah. Thank you, Rashid, for your response to that too. I want to open again the invitation. If you have any question or comment, anything that you would like to say and to share, the space is open. You can do it on the Q&A box, or you can send me a direct message, as you prefer. Pablo, do you want to add something?
I'm curious about, I don't know how much you want to talk about the next project that you're working on about the NABCA, which seems very interesting. And if you're willing to talk about it, is there, I'm curious about what resources of the medium you'll be utilizing, if there's going to be any space for testimony, for interviews, or people talking about the memories, if the art design will be similar to Liyla's, with this very kind of dark, this very nighttime, kind of very impactful art style, or if we'll see, sunlight on what Palestine was like back then, and what kind of depictions you're looking to create in that game.
So that's a great question. Literally about the design. So it's kind of a mixed theme. So I'm trying to show Palestine before and after the Nakba. Also in a single story. So the thing that there was a lie, which is like a people without land for a land without people. So this is the original lie that established the occupation. What I'm trying to do right now is to show what happened actually in Nakba, and in the same time to show what was Palestine before the Nakba. So it's kind of a mixed theme, which is a colorful and showing the culture of Palestine before the Nakba, how people were actually living, how beautiful the nature of Palestine, and what happened after the Nakba, and the theme of like war and killing and massacres that happened, and like people moving from their home, and their home were actually destroyed and taken from them, and they have to leave Palestine to a different country. So it's kind of a mixed theme in a single story. I can't remember like the first thing of your question is
Yeah, I was asking if there so something that I've seen documentary games do in these past few years is use interview and testimony. So people talking about the past or about their expertise regarding to a certain topic, to have kind of these other narrating voices kind of come into the game. And I'm wondering how what your approach kind of to the history is, if it's just plain representation or if there will be interviews and testimony as well.
It will be a representation. There will be no testimonies, because it's kind of hard to mix them together. But I'm highlighting a few stories that actually happened, and I'm taking like a path that actually people moved from their villages to during the Nakba, to move from their village to Lebanon, and I'm taking the historical path that they already took, and I'm highlighting the main events that happened on these villages and the massacres that happened during that time, and I'm representing them in the game itself. So there will be no testimonies and things like that in the game itself.
Thank you, Rashid. I have one last question. I know that we are 5 minutes ahead, but still, I need to do this question since this project have raised such expectations already, and after our conversation the other day, for me it was like this project sounds amazing. It's something that, as I said, I want to be real, and I want to support as much as I can. In the production, in the game production aspect, and you as directing this project, what are the chances, or where are like the ideas on the processes on how to do like this crowdsourcing space, where I'm sure that you're going to find many people among us wanting to support us as we can, but also considering the challenges of making games in general, but also like making games in in something that is as challenging as doing a project with this kind of intended impact. So it's at the same time, what are like your production vision on kind of this crowdsourcing, getting the support of many people, while also like what would be like a direct invitation, like that may change along the process, because there's always an iterative process along the way. But for all the people that it's watching now, this in whatever time they are watching it, what will be your invitation to support this upcoming game?
So it's kind of, to be honest, it's not clear for me. I was, as I told you, like this project was in my head like for a long time ago, and I started talking about this project with a couple of my friends, and I found them like pushing me to do it more and more. And so we started scoping the idea and having like a concept art and like a basic prototype. So we are in a phase kind of building something that we are able to show for everyone. And to be honest, I was amazed about the feedback that I'm getting from like the small circle that have a chance to see the project and how much they are willing to support and help. So that like the full production for the project, I'm not sure how we're gonna go, if it will be like a publisher, but like the chances is very very small, because like talking on a project about Palestine and having discussing like a historical event like Nakba, it's not a popular thing for publishers to work with. So it's kind of a risky for maybe for them and for their studios. So like this isn't like I'm not saying I'm not going to publishers, but maybe this is a chance because it's kind of a huge project. The other option may be also the crowdfunding option. And this is also a little bit scary for me. I don't have like experience in this thing. And I'm not sure if we can raise like the amount of money that we need for that project. But it's kind of things are like I'm always amazed about the feedback I'm getting from the people, even like from this small talk. Like I can see the interest from you, from Pablo, like in such project, and like this is really amazing for me. So I don't have an answer yet, but I'm trying to have a quick answer. Like actually, we started like taking small donations from like close friends who are like just friends who, like in our circle. Like, hey, we need an artist, we need a developer, like to do such thing, and things are going somehow slowly, but we are working on the basic prototype just to show the world what we are going to. And after that, we'll have a clear, I think we will have a clear idea if we are going to crowdfunding or a publisher or different thing.
Awesome. Thank you, Rashid, for your great answer for that last question. So
So keep like watching my Twitter.
yeah,
I will be.
I was emphatic with that. So please follow Rashid. So before we close this awesome first event of our impactful game series, Pablo, would you like to do to say something to close before we give Rashid the space for the last words?
I just want to thank you, Rasheed, for sharing your time again with us. I think it's very precious, especially considering the situation. And you're right, it's very exciting to hear about your new project. So please keep us updated because we definitely want to support it. And again, thank you, Nico, for having me literally in the same room as you.
Thank you, Pablo. So Rashid, please, do you have the space for your final thoughts? Anything that you will want to
I
say?
really would like to thank you, Nico and Pablo, and also to thank everyone else here in this stream who's interested about what's happening in Palestine and who wants to stop this genocide. So the most important thing right now is to push more for stopping this genocide and to reach for a ceasefire. I'm not happy to make games about what's happening. I hope I stop making games about this, and I hope I have a chance to make a cheerful games and lovely games, but I can't right now. So I hope that we can, all of you, push more just to reach for a ceasefire and end what's happening right now on the ground. And thank you all.
Thank you, Rashid. Uh, oof, it's hard to say something after those like such honest insights. So thank you again, and I can't explain like how much thankful and humbled I'm for having you here, and with the lack of having Pablo also. So thank you everyone for sharing with us here. Thank you everyone for being watching this video in the future or on your own present. We hope that this is a meaningful material that you can share. You can watch our upcoming videos that Pablo session is coming soon too. So you can go and watch on the channel. And please follow Rashid, follow this, like play the game, Liyla and the Shells of War first, and then keep following this upcoming game. Rashid, you have all of our support. You already know Pablo Matajuegos and many people in Latin America for us as part of Niebla Games, as part of Rio Junto, that we're organizing this event, and with all the support of the Ludocrítica, the critical game studies network that we're building in Latin America. We're like honored to support this. So thank you everyone for being here. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you for all the institutions that have support this that we mentioned at the beginning. So with that said, thank you so much and have a nice day or nice time zone. So bye. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
So that's the end of the recording for everyone. So dear students, dear friends, thank you so much. You can leave if you want. Uh, Rashid, thank you so much for all of this. I'm looking forward to be able to share with you person in a better times that we're all are trying to push and support as we can. Uh, yeah, and I'm waiting for my kufiyya too.
Okay, see you guys. Yalla, assalamu alaikum. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.